Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Biz Bash podcast. Today is episode 35, and we are talking about were we artsy as kids? Question mark. I feel like I had to put the question mark in there. I don't know why. This is always fun to talk about, especially because so much of what you end up doing as an adult, I think, really stems from the way you were raised as a kid. I mean, it's the whole nature versus nurture thing, and the nurture thing has a really big part of it. So Cami and I have talked about this a little bit in the past, and this was honestly really fun for me, writing down a whole ton of notes of things I did as a child. And I'm like, wow, now it really makes sense why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So basically today is just going to be story time, because Cami and I are going to share a lot of the crazy art things we did as we were kids, or little projects or this or that. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Cami take it away with her first opening thoughts.
My opening thoughts.
Oh boy.
Okay. No, I just think this episode's gonna be really fun because it's story time with Cami and Elizabeth. So where are we artsy as kids? I mean, well, y'all kind of know. I think y'all know that my dad is an artist, so I obviously grew up with a very artistic influence. So I was kind of artsy by default, but I wouldn't be I was an artsy fartsy kid at all, because I also had this weird thing where I was I don't want to be an artist. That's stupid. But I was also when I was really young, I was also always being very artsy and creative. And I was always painting on my dad's lap, literally just sitting on his knee when I was 3 years old. And he'd let me put all the final touches on his paintings and sell those for more, because he'd be you touch this one, so it's worth a lot more. The cutest thing. I know. So I had a lot of, my self-esteem was good. And I was I'm an artist. I know what I'm doing. But yeah, I just have all these memories of my dad at his big studio table, this big easel, and just painting with his little glasses on. And he would just let me get a little paintbrush and paint in the corner while he worked on the rest of the piece. So honestly, what kind of man trusts a toddler with a paintbrush? But he did. So, so that's one of my absolute favorite memories of being artsy. And then I want to tell you guys this funny story too. And then Elizabeth can tell a funny story. But so as I got older, I guess 5 or 6 maybe, and I would sell my paintings in my dad's art gallery. I had a little corner. It was called Cami's Corner, and pretty much I would sell little abstract watercolor pieces and little watercolor paintings of animals and stuff. And people loved them, because I was, when you're a little kid, everyone's oh, it's so cute. So I was selling those things pretty good. And I remember going to one of my dad's art shows that he used to go to in Sevierville, Tennessee every year. And it was just like a art conference basically, and their show, everyone's there with all their different booths and stuff. And I had a little apron that said my dad's gallery on it, G-Web Gallery, and little French beret that I still have, and a little paint palette pen, which is so funny because I have one now in my shop, but this one was gold, very old school. And I had a little colored pencil set, and so I was just going around sketching stuff and selling my sketches to people all over this art show. And literally my pockets of my apron were overflowing with cash. And when I went back to my parents' booth, my mom thought I had stolen someone's money, and she was freaking out. But really, I'd just been going around and selling stuff to people. And of course, who could say no to a little kid in a beret? So I was selling my paintings at a very early age, and I always remember that story. My mom just gets such a kick out of it. And then a few years after that, I started getting my own booth, and so I could do it the legit way instead of going around and selling pieces of paper to people.
So did you guys count up how much you've made?
I'm sure they did, but I do not remember the number anymore. But I mean, it was wads of $1 bills.
Yeah, but I still bet you made like $50.
I probably made at least $50. Yeah, at least. Like my mom was like, "What? Where did you get this?" And then my dad just thought it was hilarious, and it just kind of became like this whole joke about the art show. And like all my dad's artist friends were like, "She's gonna outsell you." Like,
well, didn't you sell stuff to your classmates too and got in trouble for it?
Yeah, this is another story. Basically, I've always been passionate about selling your work and not giving it away for free. So yeah, in 6th grade, you guys, I had this little business I started, and it kind of became a trend in our school with the scraps from my dad's art gallery for framing. So we had like lots of mat board and cardboard and like foam board, like perfect little shapes and squares, like rectangles and squares that are perfect for writing with marker. So this was like around the time when all the shirts that said like angel and honey or whatever, like were really popular. So I was writing just phrases like that, just like, I don't even know, brat, you know, like those kinds of things, and like decorating them with little like rhinestones and like, and then everyone would tape them on the side of their desk, and you were like really cool the more you had. Like it'd be like this folding down thing of signs, like all the girls had them. It was like the coolest thing. And then I started taking custom orders where you customize your colors. I had like a little order form sheet. And I even had like a tip jar on my desk. I had a place you could put your money and like your order form, like Ziploc bags, like taped all around my desk. And then the teachers like started finding out about like how much money I was making because people weren't paying for their lunches because they were spending their lunch money to buy these signs. And I went to the principal's office and had to shut down the whole operation. And no one was allowed to have the signs on their desk anymore. But some of my friends will still text me like, I still have the signs like hanging on their mirror at their house, you know. It's like so funny to me. But
oh my god,
yeah, I got in big trouble for that. But I did make probably like $300 on that one. Like I did pretty good on that. I mean, for a 6th grader.
God, for a 6th grader, that's so much
I was
money.
making bank, Elizabeth. I mean, I was like doing a lot of orders. It's getting overwhelmed. Thought I was gonna have to hire. I mean, I'm just kidding. But I remember the first thing I bought. I think I've told you this. Do you remember what I bought? If I told you this or not?
I don't think I do.
Okay,
Shoot.
so the first thing I bought was this pair of cat ears from Claire's that I still have.
Okay, yeah, I remember you telling me this.
I still have them. Oh my gosh, that was like my big spending of money. But I wear those every year on Halloween, so you know what? It's a great investment.
Meanwhile, I was the kid who found $10 in the swimming pool once and thought I was rich. Like, so literally, like you saying that you made $300 in 6th grade is hilarious because like there was this stuffed animal at the mall that I really wanted and it was $11. And I think I had like $1 to my name in 6th grade and I found $10 in the pool and that's how I was able to buy it. Gosh, I should have just like sold stuff to my classmates.
Yeah, you gotta swindle your classmates. That's what you gotta do.
Yeah. Actually, I think I might have even been like younger than 6th grade at that point. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, I think I was younger.
Remember,
but still, I know like all that stuff starts blurring together. I feel like my like entrepreneurial things as a kid were like very much your typical like lemonade stand. I was totally a lemonade stand kid, and we lived in like a busy enough neighborhood too that it worked out pretty well. I feel like I also like did some other things like
making money
in the house. Yeah, to try to like make money and like do stuff. But my mom, like her way to incentivize us as kids to do chores was like we earned $0.25 per chore. So,
oh my gosh.
I'm probably too busy doing my chores to try to earn my quarters. I should have like gone out and started my whole own like entrepreneurial thing.
I know. Oh my gosh. No, I have another way that I was making money too. So another story about me selling stuff and just basically I was a con artist. I just hustled everyone. So I used to pick flowers from my neighbors' gardens, then sell it back to them in a bouquet. I would literally pick their flowers, then go to their door and sell it to them.
Yummy.
And I would I tied it up with ribbon. And that's what made it fancy. And I went around my wagon all throughout the neighborhood and like had my little bouquets and I would just sell them back to the neighbors. And I got all like the Christmas ribbon. I would wrap them up. And we have a bed and breakfast that's right next door to our house. So I would sell the bouquets of like daffodils to the guests at the Buckhorn. I mean, I was a little kid with a little red wagon selling flowers. How can you say no? I mean, really, you guys. Yeah. And I did the lemonade stand and like the vegetable stand out at the farm. Because obviously we had all those vegetables and all those grapes. My dad like built a little stand for me. And this is funny too. This was the time when I had a jaw expander in my mouth. I don't know if y'all know what it is. It's basically a torture before you get braces. And I had a huge gap in my front 2 teeth for one summer. And that's when I had my vegetable stand. And I'm not even kidding you. One time a tour bus pulled up of all these foreign tourists and they took all these pictures of me because I looked like a total redneck because I had the gap in my teeth selling vegetables. They probably thought it was like the super authentic, like backwoods Tennessee thing. I'll just never forget that. Oh my gosh. So.
It's okay. You're not the only one who's had like pictures taken of you and had a spectacle made because when my family traveled to Europe, I want to say I was 14 at the time and my youngest sibling is 7 years younger than me. So it's like kids between age 7 and 14. There's 5 of us. And my parents had us loaded into basically like the equivalent of almost like a work van like in Europe because there was like nothing bigger to hold all of us. And there was a tour bus that was taking pictures of our family once because in Europe, you have like 1 kid, maybe. That's kind of like the trend right now. Maybe 2. And so I think they were just like baffled that there were so many of us. So I get that. Like, you made us.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I'm going to dive into a couple of things I did as a kid. So let me say, first off, I was a professional copier when I was a child. I literally like copied the entire book called Martha Speaks. Do you remember that book? It's like the dog.
No.
And I think she eats alphabet soup. I think it's Martha Speaks and Martha the dog eats alphabet soup and then she can talk to people.
No, I don't remember it. Sorry.
I was like very, very young, but still I like took all the paper and from the printer and I took our scissors and our tape and like my crayons and all that. And I like duplicated the entire book. That was like my apparently like version of art, which obviously I didn't do anything with it. I think I was just like I think I just wanted to like make a book and I didn't know what to put in it. So I just like put in everything else from this book. So that was like a really great way to start off my artistic career. But I was always just like doodling and drawing and doing like artistic stuff as a kid all the time. Like if the paper was missing from the copier, like I just said, my mom knew it was me. Like it was always me. If she couldn't find stuff like in the office space in its normal spot, it's because I had taken it somewhere. So I think literally for like one of my birthdays, they bought me like printer paper, tape, and scissors. And they were like, these are yours and you can use them and you don't take the stuff from like mom and dad's office.
Yes, that was the best gifts. I would always get masking tape as a gift, like rolls and rolls and rolls of it. And I loved it. Like not from my parents, from like other people that just knew. That's what I like loved.
Yes, it's so funny, like something that simple. And I hope my kids will be entertained by like simple stuff like that too someday.
Same.
But like I know a lot of like the things that I drew ended up in my dad's like office, you know, because of course he would like take it and hang it up, which like most people do for their kids. But it was one of those things where I just like never grew out of the artsy stage, I guess. I mean, I was just like always doodling, always drawing. Even in college, that was like my preferred thing to do in class was like doodle instead of take notes. So yeah, I feel like I've always been artsy.
Like take art classes or go to art camp or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. I did with our family friend when I was like young. I did watercolor, like a watercolor class where she taught like really basic principles. And I remember thinking I was like way too cool for it because I like already knew that stuff. I was like above it for some reason. And then one of my favorite things was that I actually, speaking of copying, I painted Monet's bridge in first grade. That was like, everyone did that as like an art study, right? And like someone offered me $10 for it, like because it got like hung up in the hallway. And someone saw it and asked my parents if they could buy it for $10. And my dad told them no, and he hung it up in our house. Which I love. I'm so glad that he like.
Do they still have it? Do they still have it?
Yeah, it's still in the house somewhere.
Okay, you gotta get them to take a picture so we can post.
I'm not entirely sure where, but I'm pretty sure like when we did the big like garage sale and clean out that didn't go.
Yeah.
Like it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, it has a story attached to it. I was the same way with you though with like art classes. I like hated art classes because I just was like, I don't need this. I'm fine. And then also I had this like this fear that I wasn't going to be good enough and I should be good enough. You know what I mean? And I was like, I can't do the art class because what if I don't do good? There's this expectation because everyone's like, oh, you're the artist. You're going to do good. Like I still have that fear now. Like if someone took me like an art class or like a paint your own pottery studio, I would like be so terrified. I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff brings out like the competitive side of me.
Yeah.
Like I remember being like competitive about art from a very young age too, because like when we were painting the bridge, or at least it would have been at the same time. I don't know if I was painting Monet's bridge, but we were doing some art thing in class. And one of my friends was like, you know, the typical like when you're young and you're like, oh, yours is just so good because you want to get the compliment back.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, thank you. And like didn't say anything back to her because I knew mine was better. Oh God, this makes me sound horrible.
Oh yeah. One time I got in a fight with this girl because she said she could paint an elephant better than me. This is the first time I met her. We're friends now. Like I went to her wedding and stuff. She's like, I can paint an elephant better than you. I was like, you don't even know. I'm the art person here. Like I know I can paint an elephant. She's like, you don't even know. I'm good at elephants. I was like, okay. This was at Sunday school. I got so mad. Like the parents had to get involved. I don't even know. Oh my gosh, it's just so funny. But
you as like a child just like fascinates me. It's so funny because like we still ended up having like very similar tendencies because we like compliment each other so well, but had like completely different backgrounds.
Because I'm an only child and you have like a million brothers and sisters.
Yes. Like I still can't wrap my head around the fact you're an only child. Like it just doesn't like feel that way. It feels like you should have been raised with like at least 7 other children.
Why?
Like,
well, I don't understand. Why do you think that? Like
why do I think that? Yeah. Because of some of the stories you tell me, like the things you would like run around and do and like getting in trouble. It just strikes me as like something like a younger sibling would get away with when the others weren't looking.
I had a very active imagination. Like that's why I'm fine being alone. Like I can be by myself and just have like the best time. Like I really, really can, honestly. Yes. I entertain myself very well. So one of the things I used to do to entertain myself too, like this is kind of a good segue into another story, was in my dad's gallery. You've been there. You know how in the back there's just like all those hallways kind of where like all the mat supplies are. Well, I would build very elaborate forts that would basically take over that entire back space. And like I cannot like express to you how big they are. And I know you haven't, like if you're listening, you haven't been there, but just imagine like a pretty wide hallway and like a life-size fort built with these huge cardboard sheets that I would waste all my parents' cardboard sheets that would go for like on the back of paintings, you know, held together with the masking tape and like window cutouts. And I would like draw window boxes on them. I have like a mailbox and I expected people to deliver letters. And the employees at my dad's gallery were like getting like, they were mad. They were like, we really need you guys to get Cami to take this down because we can't like function like efficiently because all this cardboard's in the way. We have like tunnels and like wings of the house and all this stuff and like a chimney. And of course my dad would like help me. And so he was like a total instigator, you know? He's like, we're not taking it down. He's like, this is what Cami and I sport. We're like, we're working on it, you know? And
my gosh, I bet that was so infuriating to the employees.
I know. And I was like, always like, I would literally dig through the trash. I remember like finding their like Chinese takeout box and like putting shreds of paper and be like, these are my noodles. And like, I was a trash digger. That was me, like as a kid.
Oh my gosh. I was a big fort builder too.
Yeah,
not necessarily with cardboard, but I mean we would take the cushions off the couch, we would use all the blankets, we would use like everything we could to like create giant forts.
Those
like what you said with like different wings and like this and that. Oh yeah, get this. Like a few summers back, one of my family friends with like she has like 2 kids. They're probably elementary age now.
Mm-hmm.
She said she had to teach them how to build a fort. And I'm like,
kidding me?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, isn't that like natural instinct as a child? I'm like trying to figure out like how do I bring that out in my kids someday, you know?
Basically, you just don't give them any electronics, I think.
Yeah.
That's a whole other side tangent for another show.
Another side tangent.
Yeah, I was all about forts. And like, I would even, so I thought I wanted to be an architect when I was a little kid. So I was always out at the farm. I was like making outlines of houses with leaves. Like I would clear off a part of the grass and then like make outlines of houses and be like, this is the bedroom, and like design a house and then like pretend to live in the house, like outlined with
Wait,
leaves.
I did that too.
You did that too? Oh, wait, did you want to?
Yeah, like when you push the leaves around. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah,
I did that
I
all
would
the
like
time.
line it up like little like each like a line with a leaf, like a bunch of leaves, you know, not so much like a leaf pile, but like a leaf line, I guess.
Okay, we had like huge piles of leaves in my backyard as a kid, so like we literally would have houses and I'd like push them around to like make different rooms.
Yeah, this was like not pushing the leaves, but like a line, like individually placing one leaf down.
Oh my gosh,
Like as an outline. I know, and I had to like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was good times. Good times, man. Oh my gosh.
Well, I also had like an affinity for numbers from very young as well, which is kind of funny because like we're talking about being artsy, but I still love numbers now. So now it's just like making me think of like other things I did as a kid. I would play banker with myself for hours, Cami, like hours. I had one of those like fake cashier chests, and I would like take money out and I'd like write it on a notepad and I would subtract it and I'd be like, okay, I have this much money in the bank, and then I'd like put a little bit back in and like add it back in. I could do that like all day. My parents were probably like, child.
It's child. Oh my gosh, what a little geek you were.
Yeah, I loved that. I like loved the like checks and balances and figuring things out. And
oh my goodness, yeah, that's kind of my cousins and I and my neighbors, we would all play this game. Well, we called it Seed Needs, but it wasn't actually called Seed Needs. Seed Needs was the name of my store, and so everyone had like their own store. You know, everyone's like their own shop owner. So we're Nana's houses and the farm. So we would have like everyone would have their own little store, and then there'd be the banker, and like the rocks were different currency. Like a brown rock was like $10 and a white rock was like $1 or whatever. And then my other cousin was always like the robber, and so you had to like hide your money. And I had mine in a mason jar like under this other rock that I like dug a hole in. And my store was Seed Needs, and it was like you could get all the stuff you needed for growing a garden or whatever. Like we all had different stores, and like someone had like a snack store, and they'd be like in Nana's kitchen. You play with rocks, like it was so fun playing that. Like you would have been the banker for sure, and that game.
Absolutely, 100%. Like we did stuff like that, like when we were together with our cousins. Like when we went to the Outer Banks, North Carolina, the dads would dig us a big hole, and we would make a donut shop, and we'd like go down into the hole, and we'd like take sand and pack it together into like little spheres, and be like, this is our donut shop, and the parents would have to like come pay with like seashells, and so
I love that. Oh my gosh, I want to be a kid and like play these games. Do kids play these kind of games anymore? I need moms to enlighten us, because clearly we know nothing about kids compared in our last episode, or not our last, or a couple episodes ago when we were talking about babies, and I'm like, that's actually a baby stroller. We didn't know.
Yes, Catherine Carney informed us that Up a Baby is actually a brand that exists. And we were cracking jokes about that last time and did not realize it's a company. So please, if you heard it and you work for Up a Baby, don't sue us.
Sorry, we didn't know. How would we know? Oh, okay. What other fun stories from our being artsy as kids? Oh, I was obsessed with like making miniature things. Like I would make miniature magazines. Like I was really big on like if there was like an advertisement for magazines in a magazine, and I would like cut them out and make mini ones.
Oh my gosh.
This whole collection of miniature magazines. And then I would do like a newsletter for my parents every morning. I did that for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, you know what? I can't handle this. And it'd be like, squirrel is on the back deck. Like that was like literally a newsletter, like making it. And
oh my gosh, I did a newsletter at one point too.
It wasn't Microsoft Word. It was the other one.
Oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you. It was so basic though. Yeah. But you're right. Mine probably lasted a couple weeks as well. But I totally went through a newsletter phase where it was like I was doing one every day or something. I wish I could find some of those. They're probably long gone.
I know my mom has them. She literally has like a huge box for every single year of my life. I guess that's an only child thing, but like.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say, like, when we went home for the house clean out in like August 2018, guys, my parents didn't move, but they became empty nesters. So like the 5 of us kids went home to Littleton, Colorado to like help them clean out the house. And my mom still had like a very decent sized pile of things for everybody. And so it was really interesting seeing how each sibling handled sorting through that, Cami. You're going to have to do it someday for your stuff. You can't keep all of it.
Yeah, I don't want all of it. I've gotten rid of a lot of my like childhood stuff, but I think my mom still has like a lot of the papers and everything.
Yeah, a lot of the papers. And that's what was so shocking. It was so much paper because now we're in like more of a digital age. Like I don't think kids are going to have as much of that stuff, you know, like for parents to keep.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I was kind of like in the middle of my siblings. I was making quick work of it because I would only keep something if I really remembered doing it, if there was like a connection. So most of the stuff was going in like the recycling pile.
Yeah.
And I got rid of a lot of things. Actually, my dad pulled one thing out of the trash. He was like, I'm not letting you get rid of this. It was so cute. And some of the things we did throw out, but like took pictures of before we threw them out. So we would still have like the pictures in memory. But anyways, like my brother Mark is like literally like lying on the floor in our basement. And we all have these like huge piles of papers. And he's like lying stretched out on the floor, just like brushing his hand across the top, like swipe, 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 just like everything like into the trash. He just like wanted to get through it as quick as possible. And meanwhile, like my other brother, Robert, is like much more methodical. And so he was like picking up each piece of paper to like look at it, to remember when it was from, to really like decide if he wanted to keep it or not. So obviously like his process was a lot longer, but it was like opening Pandora's box. Is that the right thing? Where it was like when we did all of that, it like opened all of these memories for like a week where we saw everything like from our childhood. It was so strange, but it was so sweet at the same time. I loved it.
Yeah, it's fun to like reminisce, and I'm sure once I start going through all the boxes of crap my mom has, but
I want to see some of that stuff. I think when you're home in October, you should just like open one and see what you can find.
Okay. I'll do that.
I'll remind you. See, guys, I even like know her schedule and stuff. No big deal.
Yeah, we're like besties, so it makes sense. Anyway. Okay. I talked about how I loved making miniature stuff, but I failed to mention some of the other miniature things I would make.
Yeah.
So, I would make these like corn husk dolls. My best friend and her sister, we'd all have like our own little dolls made out of corn husk. I sound like I lived on like Little House on the Prairie, I swear, but like
this is why it sounds like you should have a million siblings, because of like the whole like outdoorsy like living. You just like imagine a lot of children running around. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you were enough work of like you were kind of like 10 children in one.
I was crazy.
You were a lot of work, right? Like that's not a lie.
I don't know. Like it depends on which parent you ask.
I thought your mom. Okay, fine. Your mom would say.
I was the easiest kid. My mom thought I was bananas. You know,
a wild child.
Yeah, I don't think I was really that wild. I was pretty good kid.
Wait, no, you showed me, or your mom showed me the video of you.
Oh, I showed you
wearing the dress, like and like pulling it over your head and like
doing the
spinning around. And like, oh my gosh, that video is
like smacking my butt. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. It's
I saw that and I was like, yeah, you're 10 kids in one.
And I had my rolls of tape and toilet paper thing, and I made like an elephant face. Remember, you saw that? That was my rolls of tape. I told you.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's the funniest video.
Yeah, maybe I should post that on the stories. Do you think I should?
I think that would be hilarious. It's long enough ago that it doesn't matter. It's just so funny.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna post that, so don't let me forget. And okay,
someone will for sure tag us and remind us. Yeah. So guys, if you hear this and it hasn't been posted, just
we can post a lot of stuff, like if we have pictures and like of our art stuff. Get your parents to send you some pictures.
Okay.
Okay, what was I going with this? Corn husk dolls. Oh yeah, so I would make these corn husk dolls, and they had like little outfits that I made from like little fabric scraps, because I used to have so my parents rented out this gallery to different artists in the Smoky Mountain Arts and Crafts community, and one of the ladies there did like fabric stuff, and so she would give me all of her fabric scraps, which I loved. Plus they always smelled like cinnamon. She was like this really sweet grandma, so that was an extra bonus. So I would make these like little dresses out of like little fabric scraps she gave me, And my cornhouse dolls had like a little shoebox that I made into like a little house, and I like cut out a window and put little curtains and a little bed. I made like little quilts, like all very little, like, and I would make like little pies out of bottle caps, and I would put like beads, like colored beads to be like the filling, and I had like a felt like pie crust, and then like a tiny little styrofoam like wisp to be the whipped cream. I loved making those mini pies. They were my favorites.
That is so cute. That honestly like makes me want to do that right now. It's so
they
funny.
are the cutest things, and I still have them at the farm. I'm gonna get that shoebox down because I know where it is. I'm pretty sure.
Wait, did you ever have an easy bake oven?
Oh yeah, easy bake oven was the best. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I had one too. I mean, like, what kid
have it? I still have it. My mom didn't want to get rid of it.
Oh my gosh, you might be able to like sell that thing for some good money for the nostalgia factor. But seriously. Yeah, when you said like little miniature pies, it reminded me of that. I was like all about my easy bake oven when I was a kid. I feel like if you're a kid, like between 85 and 95, like you had an easy bake oven.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. And then like, so this is like a weird story, but every time my parents would leave me home alone, which was like when I was older, like not like 8, you guys, but this is kind of the
think of like 6-year-old Cami like sitting in the house all alone in her front tray.
I feel like the easy bake oven like led to this way, but I would always make this concoction of flour, sugar, and butter, and just like mix it and then put it in the microwave or the oven and just eat that, like a huge bowl of it. And I was like, this is my secret snack that my parents don't know about.
Okay, that sounds like good, but also gross. Like what?
Flour, butter, and sugar. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, might kill you, but yeah. So like I said, I was perfectly entertained by myself. So I'm gonna try that today if I feel like gaining 42 pounds. But
well, the thing is, like, I was also super self-entertained. Like, even though I was the oldest.
Yeah.
But the reason that it happened like that is because there's 5 of us in 7 years. So my mom was like taking care of like young kids all the time, and I really had to self-entertain myself. Like, and I feel like the boys, Robert and Mark, are the 2 right after me, and they played together a lot growing up because, you know, like the trains, the planes, automobiles, like all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like the one running around like hugging trees out in the backyard, like. Literally though, like, oh gosh, here's another like embarrassing story about being a kid. My dad chopped down these like aspens that were by the side of our house, and I just like had a big sensitivity for like anything with life in it, like a plant, like moths, bugs, whatever it was. I was like sad when anything died. I was sad when my dad sold his car, for God's sake, and that like doesn't have, you know, not a living thing, but they chopped down these aspen trees, and I was like out back, like on my knees, like bent over, like praying for the aspen trees when they had been chopped down. And my dad came out and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like out there, like praying for the trees that had been chopped down. I probably like ran off and didn't tell him what I was doing because I was like too embarrassed. But
well, I was like actually chopping down trees as a kid. Like one of my things that I had was a hatchet. My parents gave me a hatchet, and they would let me just go play in the woods, and I would chop down trees and build teepees. And like thinking about that now, I'm like, what parent gives their child a hatchet? Like really, and tells them to go play in the woods? Like that would never fly now. So I would like, maybe we wouldn't have been friends. You would have been praying over the trees I chopped down.
No, I think I had enough of an adventuresome spirit, and I'm not sure what it was about those trees specifically that I was very attached to them for some reason. I don't think like any other average tree necessarily would have like upset me. I had a lot of trees though I like loved as a kid that were like super special trees.
Yeah, I had special trees too. Like they're you pick a certain tree and you just like really grow fond of that tree. Like I don't know.
Does anybody else out there have special trees? Or are Cami and I just crazy?
Special trees? Okay. Did anyone else have a hatchet, or is that just me?
Oh, so funny. I have another good story about like the artsy stuff. And this leads more into like handwriting, because I can see throughout the years growing up, like how handwriting started becoming a big part of my story. So it like makes sense that calligraphy is a part of it. So when I was in middle school, I got like super into handwriting and the fact that I could like do all sorts of different fonts, right? Like I didn't have just one style of handwriting. I probably had like 5 or 6 that I use like interchangeably for different things. And I was like very proud of that. Well, in 8th grade, I remember my science teacher told me, literally in front of like the entire class too, which is like slightly mortifying. And he was like, maybe you would get more done if you're more focused on what we're learning and less focused on writing it down so beautifully. And hashtag no regrets, guys. I probably didn't take away a ton from the science class, but like that was like what mattered to me and like is still what matters to me today. So
I think it looked good.
I don't know. Like, yeah, that's why I like spent all the time doing that. I think for a long time, I like might even still have some of those notebooks because they were so beautiful. And because like science was like more boring to me. So I was more entertained if I wrote my notes beautifully. If that makes sense.
So did you have a diary too when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah. Please, of course I had a diary. Oh man, I had like several different diaries throughout the years.
I know, and I know I have those at home too, so I can get those pictures up of those, and we can read some.
Yes. Oh my gosh, some of my stuff in there is just beyond funny. It's so funny because I would like always, I'd pick one up and I'd journal really consistently for a while, and then I would stop. I was like never one of those people who have like a journal like full for every single year. It's just like journals of like little parts of my lives here and there. But I mean, equally hilarious. They're so funny.
I remember going on family vacations and like my entertainment in the back seat. Like this is actually when I'm like 13 or 14 was like writing in the notebook. Like I'd always bring a notebook and I'd make like different pages of like things I saw along the way and like sketching things. And I remember specifically going to the beach and I had this page where I kept track of all the hot guys that I saw and I would draw how many flames of how hot they were. And I'd be like, this is the location I spotted them. 3 flames. This is where I saw this guy. 1 flame. And I keep on running the list. It was called like the hot-o-meter with like a thermometer. Like I drew all this stuff. Like, oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. I'm like blushing right now just thinking about that. But I literally had that, you guys. I did that. So
yeah, I did a lot of like artsy notebook things in the cars too when we were like driving around a lot. Yeah, I loved road trips as a kid. That's why I still love road trips, I think.
Yeah, the best part about road trips is snacks.
Yes, I'm so glad you did it. You should have heard Cami before the episode, y'all. She sat down. She's like, I got some snacks. Like crunching them like right into the mic.
Oh my god, I just got popcorn like literally all over the place, but it's fine.
That's okay.
It's fine. Okay.
It doesn't matter. If anyone out there needs a snack, make sure you grab one.
Break time, you guys. Oh, you know, it's just like in your childhood, like having snacks was like the best thing of all time.
Oh, yes. The best. Oh, but I do feel slightly bad because I told my friend last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, I got coffee with her and she was panicking because on the way to coffee, she realized she might have left out the snack for her daughter to have at school. I was so insensitive. I basically was like, she'll survive. She doesn't need one.
You're like, no, I would have been like, get it to her right now. We're all going. Mission snack is happening. Like,
yeah, exactly. But then you're right. You think about back on that. Oh, like snacks were like the most important part of the day. Okay, I have one more story to share about being artsy. So I actually did write here that like for the most part, I loved art classes. I think it was just that one art class when I was like doing watercolor that I was like over it for some reason. I don't know why. But I did a lot of classes with like clay and sculpture and different things like even like woods and metals was like stuff I loved too. Anything like hands-on I loved.
Oh, I really liked doing metal stuff because it wasn't pressure for me to paint something. Like I remember doing that.
Yeah.
That was fun. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. No, it's okay. And in 8th grade, I was in this like ceramics class and we made animal whistles out of clay. So you had to like make a whistle, but it had to be in the shape of an animal. And I made a turtle whistle because I freaking love turtles, you guys. And I put it in like the drying room. So like before it'd go into the kiln, I think it has to like dry a certain time or whatever. And the next day when I came back for class, it was gone. So either A, someone stole it, which I don't know what they would have done with it. It wasn't painted or fired or anything at that point. Or B, someone broke it and threw it out and like wouldn't confess it. It was just gone. It was disappeared. And I was so mad. I was livid. And mainly I was so mad because I was convinced that this guy in my class, Greg, did it because he was the troublemaker. Freaking Greg. It's such a troublemaker's name. And I'm almost positive he like probably didn't, but I would like had it in my head that he did it. And To this day, I have no idea what happened to it, but let me tell you, that original turtle whistle blew like the perfect whistle sound. It sounded so good. I had to redo the whole thing and I could not get it to work the same. It was not the same.
Making a whistle would be very hard. It just seems really difficult, but
it's still infuriating when I talk about it, to be honest. I remember it so vividly of like coming back in and being so excited to like check on my turtle and like get it fired, and it was gone. And no one had an explanation. Like the teacher couldn't say anything and no one in the class said anything, nothing.
That is some serious BS. We need to start a crime podcast to figure out who broke the turtle whistle.
Yeah, and I literally went around and checked like every single cupboard in the class because I thought someone had like hid it from me.
I bet someone stole it because you're right, it probably had the best whistle sound. They were just like, it's mine.
Yeah, but then wouldn't the teacher have known like, oh, that's Elizabeth's turtle, not yours?
Well, they've been sneaky. I mean, I don't know like the setup of the room of the crime scene, but they should have dusted for fingerprints at least.
True. My hunching suspicion is like that the teacher might have accidentally broken it and wouldn't confess.
Maybe the teacher stole it because she was like, this is the best whistle I've ever seen. This is true craftsmanship.
And then I can't remember if I ended up keeping like the second one I made or not, but I made this tray. I do have a picture actually that's like on my Instagram that I could easily share for my personal Instagram of this like tray that we made in ceramics class, where you had to like stamp a design into the clay. So you like did one of the tiles, Cami, where you use the knife to like carve into it. I don't know what that's called, but we had to like make a design and then like stamp it in and like make it all pretty and stuff. Or maybe I'm remembering a different art project. Maybe I'm combining them all together, but that is literally on my personal Instagram feed. My dad's holding it in his hand because we wanted a picture of it before we threw it away.
Oh, I can't wait to go look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to tag you in it right now, actually.
Perfect. So perfect. Also, question. Do you say crayon or crayon?
Crayon.
Crown.
So Crayon.
It's a crown.
Crayon. Crayon? Who says crayon?
I don't know. I just call it's like a box of crowns. Crowns?
No. It's a box of crayons.
Box of crowns. Okay, I don't know. We'll figure that one out.
Everyone else, let us know how you pronounce the word crayon.
Okay, hand me the blue crown. Okay, yeah, crown.
That's really funny. I actually say syrup instead of syrup, and my husband gives me a hard time about that.
I say syrup.
Syrup, though. I like completely leave out the U.
What?
Syrup.
What in the heck is wrong with you? The U, you're leaving out the Y. You're leaving out the Y and the R.
I'm always saying syrup. And Will's like, you mean syrup? And I'm like, yeah, syrup. I could say it normally. I could say syrup, but it's just like the extra effort to do that.
What about pecan or pecan?
Pecan.
Oh yeah, pecan. Okay. Woo! Glad we figured that one out. Although sometimes I'll say pecan if I'm really just being facetious, but
well, occasionally like my 4 years of being in the Pacific Northwest will sneak in because I'll say things like dragon and pillow and bag instead of like dragon.
Yeah.
Pillow,
sometimes the way you say leg always throws me off because you're like leg and I'm like leg.
What? I could not. This is so funny.
Like, I'm having some eggs, and I'm like, what?
I throw you off with the way I say egg.
Yes. Oh, it's an egg.
Egg?
Egg.
For a second, I thought you said the word leg.
I said leg, and then I said egg. Leg, egg. Like on my egg. I said both.
It's how I say both of them.
Yes.
It's egg.
Oh my god.
What do you say?
An egg?
Egg.
Every time you say it, like makes me laugh so hard. And like every time we talk on the phone, I try not to laugh because like, that's just the way her voice is. But now that we're on the podcast, I can just bring it up.
I think I'm having a glass shattering moment because I don't know if I realize this about myself. Is it because it sounds like it starts with an A instead of an E?
Yeah, you got like it's like a little Midwestern like
egg.
Like, oh, how you doing there? Or whatever.
Cooking my eggs today.
Egg.
Wait, you say it again.
Egg.
Egg. Oh wow.
Oh wow. That was interesting.
Weird.
Okay. Whew, okay. All right. Have we wrapped up this podcast enough?
Well, now I'm thinking of all the other weird words I might say funny too. I'm scared.
I'll keep a list for you. How about that?
Okay. That's so funny. It's like I have so many different dialects between like living in Colorado. So in Colorado, it's mountains, not mountains. No one puts the T in the word mountains. So I think that's where SERP comes from, that I like shortened it. And then like living in the Pacific Northwest for 4 years. And now I'm in the South where everyone has Southern accents. So it's like, I'm just very confused over here.
Here's a little mishmash of all different kinds of things. So
I just have my own accent, I guess.
You have your own Elizabeth accent. So
egg.
Egg. Yeah, it sounds like it's like there's an egg in there. It sounds like you're saying egg.
Oh man.
Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this very superfluous episode of us talking about ourselves and our childhoods. It was really fun for me. I really enjoyed this, but
yeah, this was super fun. And I want you guys who are listening, like if you're listening to this episode, please tag us with either A, like funny pictures of you as a child, B, artwork of you, like artwork that you created as a child, C, anything that has to do with your childhood. Honestly, like tag us, let us know like all the weird, crazy things. We want to hear your stories too.
And D, who says egg the right way? You can also tag us in that.
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe that'll have to be part of like the Instagram post.
Yeah, we'll do egg and crown because I think that's interesting. So
yeah, you're definitely saying that one wrong. I think I can say that with 100%.
I am from Tennessee. Certainty. I'll say it how I want. It's a crown.
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 It's a crown. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. It's been so much fun. And of course, if you want to leave us a rating and review, we totally appreciate that. It makes us so happy to see all your kind words. And it really means the world to us and helps us keep doing the podcast for you.
Yay. Yeah, that sounds perfect. And I don't know if you guys are going to have questions from this episode specifically because it was so personal. But if you do have overarching questions about being an artist or stationery or just kind of getting your creative career off the ground, make sure you go to bizbirthdaybash.com/Q and cake. And that's where you can submit a question so that every 5 weeks you have the chance of having your question answered on our Q and Cake episodes.
Yes, exactly. So get on that. Thank you guys so much. This has been so much fun, and see you later, Skater Gator.
I really wanted to do something funny with like egg or crown.
Me too. I couldn't think of anything. The last minute there.
You're the best fan, crayon.
You're the brightest color in the crown box.
See you later, egg.
Oh my gosh.
Nope, I'm going to cut that out. That was too awkward.
No, you're leaving it now. You're leaving it now. Just, I know. See you later, egg. Oh my gosh. Okay, seriously, we're leaving now. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Hey there, fellow stationers. Are you creating custom invitations and still sending a lackluster contract that's hacked together with Google searches and generic templates? We've got you.
We've created a custom stationery contract written for stationers by stationers, and it is lawyer reviewed and approved. #LegalRockstar. The custom stationery contract covers every stationery snafu, protects you and your client's interests, and sets up an expectation of professionalism. We've combined our previous contracts as well as years of experience to bring you a contract that covers your booty and your biz. So become a put-together pro and breathe a sigh of relief knowing that you have a contract that is easy to understand and avoids confusing legal jargon. The custom stationery contract is only $227, which is half of what you'd expect to pay anywhere else, and it's written by 2 gals who have seen it all. Spoiler alert, it's us. It's time for you to do things right. Go to bizbirthdaybash.com/contract to purchase and download your copy today.